Welcome back to part two, everybody, of this group meeting discussion on the DC film universe. And we're going to talk about a lot of the other characters that aren't going to get too much playtime or any playtime whatsoever in Superman versus Batman, including the main core roster of the different people that you've seen usually: Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern, and some of the other characters that might pop up. We've got Aquaman, Green Arrow, Cyborg, Shazam, Martian Manhunter, Black Canary, Vixen, who knows? Lots of other characters could eventually show up, so we're going to just run down a whole big list of them and do our opinions on all that other kind of stuff. But before we get started, I'm going to reintroduce here the Wonder Woman of this podcast, Nikki Mills.
Hey, how's it going?
And transition time. Woo! Good job there, Tony. We're going to start talking about Wonder Woman. And we mentioned a little bit about how do you introduce the character into this franchise with the first section of Superman versus Batman, because Gal Gadot, or Gal Gadot, I think it's Gal Gadot, will be... It is Gal Gadot?
Yeah.
All right. Gal Gadot, she will be playing a part in the movie, but they haven't explicitly said how big of a part it is, what she's doing, or any of that kind of stuff. In general, what do you guys think they should do to incorporate her? Do you think that she should be Wonder Woman in the movies? Do you think that she should get a solo movie before they do Justice League? Or are they good enough where they could just kind of throw her in there in Justice League and just be like, okay, Wonder Woman, you kind of know this backstory because she's a popular character, just go for it. Dace, what do you think?
I think she needs to, at least in the Batman Superman movie, to play a role similar to that of Black Widow in Iron Man 2. Very low key, not sure who she is until like they go, oh well, this is Diana, and then we go, oh, that's Wonder Woman. So it kind of gives that kind of incorporation. I think DC and Warner Brothers should be chomping at the bit to get her own solo movie out, because that's one thing Marvel hasn't done yet. They haven't given us a strong female lead. I've done the article on Miss Marvel, so to me, that's a race. Whoever gets the first female lead out there, I think is going to be huge. Why they wouldn't capitalize on that, I don't know.
Orion?
Yeah, basically the same thing. Black Widow her in Iron Man 2. I mean, I'm not familiar with the actress's work. I know she's been in the Need for Speed, and I haven't seen a single Need for Speed movie. But
that's Fast and the Furious.
Oh, well, whatever the Fast and Furious is.
Same thing.
The same thing.
She's in that Grand Theft Auto movie.
Same thing. Yeah. I don't think she should be Wonder Woman in Man of Steel 2. She should just come in as, not even like name her as Diana, have her come in under some sort of moniker or something, some false identity as sort of a spy of some sort for like the Amazon community. But yeah, that's my thoughts.
Sam, what do you think?
Well, first, I don't really like that idea because the Amazons don't want anything to do with mankind. So if she was some sort of spy for them, that wouldn't really make too much sense from a character standpoint. I would definitely kind of put her in, like you guys said, low key. Like, at least call her Diana. Do put that, and maybe either towards the end of the film for a final fight. I at least want to see her in costume. I at least want that to be a thing. And I don't know if plans have changed, but they've said that Superman from Man of Steel coming out to the world as a superhero, they said that, like, it's not to say that all the other heroes aren't already out there. That basically the other heroes are established and they exist in the universe. They're just not publicly identified. So I would like to see her as Wonder Woman. We're already going to have Batman in there, so I mean, I don't really want this to be like a 3-character story, but I would like to see her in costume, even if you don't call her Wonder Woman anywhere in the movie. At least say that I am Diana of whatever the fuck they're gonna call it, Themyscira, Paradise Island, whatever they want to say, and
like
Mm-hmm.
then Detroit or something.
yeah.
I am
So,
Diana
and I
of
do
20
hope
minutes
they
away
do-
from Tampa.
Yeah, I do hope they do something with the Greek. So, like, even if she's not identified as Wonder Woman and that she's just Diana, I hope she's got just something, a little nod that says, hey, those of you who pay attention, this is Wonder Woman. And those of you who don't pay attention, ooh, you're going to get a surprise at the end.
What do you think about that, Nikki? How would you introduce her?
The thing is, I don't know. I don't know how it would transition well if you just kind of threw somebody in like, hey, I'm here. I agree with Sam for the most part. But it depends on how you present them, I guess, in a perspective. Like, what was it that we just saw?
Justice League War.
It's expected to have at least one female protagonist in there, and the way that Diana was portrayed in Justice League War, it's completely different from how you typically see Wonder Woman, but it transitioned in how you would expect her to be. The same traits that she would have, and as long as you keep that perspective, and as long as you keep the main key points of the character that you're playing, it's okay to switch it up. It's okay to throw it in there as long as you're not completely overhauling and taking over and, it being completely different. People are going to be like, what the fuck? What is this? Who is this character? This isn't Wonder Woman. This isn't, anybody that you would think it would be. So, I mean, I agree for the most part.
I gotta go with a variation of the Black Widow concept. I think you introduce her, but you don't really make her that important. She's somebody who can stay around in the background, and you don't even shine that much of a light on her. I don't even know if it would necessarily be as much as Black Widow, because Black Widow's got that action set piece at the end of Iron Man 2. I don't even think you do that with her. I think a good way to introduce her would be kind of something similar to what's been rumored, where she is involved in the Wayne side of things. I think she should be Bruce's girlfriend. And he should just be this is kind of a crude way to say it. He should just be like, hey, she's hot. I'd bang her. Why not? I'm Bruce Wayne. And that's all he really has invested into it, except maybe, I don't know if you want to go this far. This depends on your definition of Bat God. If you go with the idea that he's investigating Superman and he's looking into him and he's not 100% trustworthy of Lex Luthor, maybe you make it to where she's the one that he was too busy and that slipped under his radar and he didn't even realize that something was going on. Or maybe you just go, hey, I already said I keep my enemies closer than my friends and everything like that. Why do you think that I was with Diana of everything? Because something's weird with her. And you make it to where she is looking into like a Greek artifact or something. Maybe it has ties to the Kryptonian stuff like what we've heard. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe she's just looking into it because she's trying to figure out like the idea of man's world, and we've got these three huge imposing figures of mankind in Batman, Superman, and Luthor, and she's got to figure out, well, you've got Superman here who is a god, and he is more like her. But then you've got Batman, who's a prick like she is. But then you got Luthor, who represents the evil in the world, and she's kind of like investigating that sort of thing. And I think all you really need to do, this is totally not the way I would have done it, though. If they would have come up to me before Man of Steel and said, plan out this, no way this would have been it. But I think you end the movie with Diana kind of being found out by Bruce, or maybe she just tells him. I don't know. And you can do a little wrap-up voiceover and talk about how they've come to terms with the idea that Batman and Superman are out there and they're friends and they're going to work together in the future, and you never know who's out there. And they can show you little clips of, like, if they're going to include Aquaman in there, show a little clip of something going on in the sea. Show something happening at Mars for the Martian Manhunter. Show, I don't know, a lightning bolt, and that's going to reference the Flash, and a lot of different stuff like that. And all you need to do is you need to have Gal Gadot putting on the outfit, or even just part of the outfit, just like the tiara or something like that. Just enough to make you go, okay, she's already become Wonder Woman in a lot of different ways. All she needs to do is she's never fought for Earth. Because I like the idea that she's going into this as that character kind of like Thor. I mean, we're going to talk about this in the comparisons to Avengers thing, but somebody who's not used to this kind of stuff. she should be a skilled warrior, but she shouldn't be somebody who has been fighting on Earth, knows Steve Trevor, all this other kind of stuff. Uh, Casting wise, though, for Wonder Woman, we talked about Batfleck, we talked about Jesse Eisenberg. What do you think about Gal Gadot? I have heard criticisms about her acting talent, but like Orion had said, I've never actually watched any movie that she's been in, so I can't criticize that. And I've heard criticisms about her physique, which mostly comes down to two different things, and it's not just left and right, but it's her breast size and her muscular physique. A lot of people are like, oh, she doesn't have big enough boobs to be Wonder Woman, and a lot of people are like, she doesn't have big enough muscles to be Wonder Woman. What do you think about that, Dace? Does she look right for the part? Does she act right for the part? Is she somebody who it's a good choice, or you don't know anything about and you can't really judge, or you know that she's going to fail? What do you think?
I haven't seen any movies she's been in. I'm definitely in that collective, but I'm actually a big fan for these movies to go out, for these productions to go out and grab people that we're not too familiar with. I think if you oversaturate with big names, you get a Batman and Robin. So it gives her a chance to take that role, own that role, and I bet you 9 out of 10 times, I guarantee she has nothing else in the pipeline. So she can commit to being Wonder Woman and owning it. Whereas like now you're running into an issue with Iron Man 3, or Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. is pretty much done with the role. Whereas someone like a Gale can play this as long as she wants.
Orion?
Well, judging by what I've seen in pictures and stuff, I mean, I'm not expecting a huge, buff and tentacular Wonder Woman. I've never been one for the whole sexualization of these female superheroes. So going with Gal Gadot, or however you say her name, Gal Gadot, it's a bold move, and I'm excited to see how far she takes her physical training. I just hope they don't over sexualize her.
Now, Nikki, do you think in any regards to that?
Yeah, for one, I mean, the people who criticize this woman's appearance for the role should probably sit down and think how many women look borderline Amazonian
Right.
who could also portray the role acting wise as Wonder Woman, and you're probably going to think of absolutely none. There's no woman who's 6 foot tall, 300 pounds of nothing but muscle and tits that go from here to Alaska, who are also extremely attractive enough and talented enough to portray Wonder Woman. It's not going to happen. They all need to shut up about that, because you're never going to find somebody like that. And if you do, I don't know I wouldn't know what to say to that, because I mean, how you sit and look at a Wonder Woman in the comic books and you just see nothing but tits and in a spandex little unitard, flowy hair, gorgeous, but it's not plausible.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen any movie that she's been in either, but after looking at her, I think she would do really well for the part. As long as she can get any physical training down or whatever, I think she'd be fantastic, especially if she pulls off, if they give her the look of Diana in Justice League War. Because, I mean, that would probably suit her a lot better than the traditional, yellow, stupid unitard thing with the tiara and all that. If they gave her more of a warrior-esque look, it would probably kind of shade the fact that she isn't an Amazonian woman. So, I mean, I'm pretty okay with it. I think she'd do a great job.
I have like nothing that I can contribute that Nikki didn't land on. Sam, what do you think about that? Do you have any opinions that we haven't discussed yet, or the same things you want to echo or something?
I think they should have cast the Russian woman from Kick-Ass too.
Oh God,
I was about to say.
But the thing is, like I said, like I implied, someone who is attractive.
Well, yeah, that was definitely a joke. But like Nikki said, I'm going back to Justice League War a lot because that's really the biggest thing that I've been. It's the biggest thing I've seen about the New 52. I don't know too much about the New 52. So if you had only given me information on Wonder Woman from before they did this, then I would have thought, no, Gal Gadot definitely is not Wonder Woman. She definitely doesn't have the look. She can't pull it off. But given this new, I can't say how new it is. When did the New 52 even come out? It's been like, what, 3 years now?
Oh, probably 3 years, I think. I don't remember for
Yeah.
sure. It might have been 2011.
Yeah. That Wonder Woman, I could definitely see Gal Gadot as that Wonder Woman. The biggest problem when it comes to, like you said, the over-sexualizing her, please don't give her pants. There's some things like there are just some things about a character's uniform that are just so iconic, I guess, that you just don't change them. You don't take away her tiara. You don't take away her lasso. And I can't picture Wonder Woman having pants. It's not a sex thing. It's just that to me is Wonder Woman. If you altered Batman's costume too much or Superman's costume too much, I would have a similar problem with it.
Hmm. Orion, you say you gotta head out right now, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, but it's off to see Walking Dead, so not too bad.
Well, before I give my opinions about that, I'll let you throw out anything else that you might want to throw out here for what we might reference later on, or anything you want to plug, or anything else like that.
All right. So basically, I know we're probably gonna get around to the topic of what other DC superhero movies do we want to see in the future. For me, if we're gonna do another Batman movie, might as well just do something bold. Go Batman Beyond, futuristic Batman. There's been a lot of discussion on how that could be done, and I'd love to see a new take on Batman. Then, just to end my plug, our final words. Please visit the Venom site. That's www.thevenomsite.com for all your Venom and symbiote needs on the Marvel side. Thank you very much for having me, and I will see you guys in a future podcast.
All right, see you, Orion. So getting back into the Wonder Woman discussion just a little bit, one other thing that I wanted to chime in on my own opinions about was that costume situation. I totally agree with what Nikki was saying about you factor in physique and acting talent and all this other kind of stuff. You can't find anybody that's going to accomplish all of it. So you have to downgrade something from the perspective of the fans. And as far as I'm concerned, you have to keep acting talent. And I'm assuming she's good. I gotta go with their choices here. I think acting wise, they've picked good people so far for Man of Steel. It's just whether or not they've done the right thing in the script for them. Like, I think that the idea of this General Swanwick guy was stupid. He did a good job, but you give me a choice of a general to put in a movie, he's going to be General Sam Lane. Those are the discussions that I have more of an issue with. So if they think that Godot is good enough, acting wise, then I'll trust their judgment. And she's attractive enough for sure. That's a guarantee. So when the people are really going overboard and they're talking about her cup size and all that other kind of stuff, give me a break. When Chris Evans was cast as Captain America, he didn't have the musculature of Captain America. Christian Bale was fat when he was cast as Batman because he had gained weight for a role. He was skinny for it. Then he got fat. That's what it was. So, people transform and all that other kind of stuff. If you were going to go just for physique, you'd end up with one of those stupid fan-made films where the people end up looking the part, but they can't act for shit. And a lot of people wanted Gina Carano to play the character because she has a very similar look. I don't think that she can necessarily act either. I don't know much about that. So if that was the position where she can't act, give me Gal Gadot, 100%. And as far as the pants issue goes, I'm okay with it. I like the idea that the Superman outfit in Man of Steel didn't have the underwear. I like the armor that they've used in Dark Knight, as opposed to giving Batman the blue outfit or the gray one or anything like that. So I think Wonder Woman, she deserves to have pants eventually. But maybe throw a reference out there. Maybe like her outfit is a sectioned off kind of thing where she's got that on and that's like this is going to sound like very overly sexual more than it needs to be, but maybe that's like her spandex kind of one that doesn't have the pants is what she lounges around in. Maybe that's like her non-formal wear. And when she goes into battle, she wears the whole fucking outfit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can see that more, then that would put you on board with the pants.
That okay. If like it was like you said, like a battle armor almost, then yeah, I could see that then.
That would be a way to do it, I think. Let's move on to the other characters. Was that?
What? I said her pants aren't going to make or break it. It's just it was a personal preference.
Right. The other characters, though, this gets a little bit more confusing. We know Wonder Woman's in this in some capacity, but we have no confirmation about anybody else. And the two biggest names that are guaranteed they have to be in this Justice League movie are the Flash and Green Lantern. Everybody else, you might not necessarily need them. We need Flash and Green Lantern in this. First thing I gotta ask, though, who do they end up picking? Do you go with Hal Jordan or Jon Stewart? Especially if they might be able to get The Rock to play him. Do you go with Barry Allen or Wally West or Bart Allen even? Doubt they would go with Bart Allen, but which do you end up going with? What do you think, Dace?
It's got to be Hal. I don't care if The Rock's trying to sign up for the movie or whatever the hell he's doing. The dynamic between Hal and Bruce, I have always enjoyed through the comics, and I think Jon Stewart is a very boring Green Lantern. Out of all the incarnations of the Green Lantern, he is my least favorite. And to me, I like Hal's attitude. If not, I'm cool with Kyle. But God, Jon Stewart is just, I don't like him as a Green Lantern, and I don't want to see him on the screen, but I really feel like that's what they're going to go with.
Thank you for echoing that point, though, that I've mentioned before. I think Jon Stewart is boring, and I think it's a shame that so many people like the character just because of his race.
Yeah, and that's the reason he showed up in the cartoon, and I get it. I'm fine with that. It's just Hal has so much charisma behind him, and his quips and his one-liners is just... Stewart is a military background, and I think you've got too many serious leads in this for superheroes that you need a Hal Jordan to break that.
Yeah, and before people go into the whole thing of like, well, what do you got an issue with race or something like that? No issue whatsoever. I mean, I love the fact that they changed Perry White and they got Lawrence Fishburne to play it. I think that was awesome. I would have been fine if they would have had a black Jimmy Olsen. I would have been fine if they, Metallo's not black. If they have him in the movie and he's black or Indian or Asian or something like that, I'm on board with that kind of stuff. I just don't like the Jon Stewart character. And yeah. I actually feel the same way about Guy Gardner. I don't think Guy Gardner is a good choice for this. And I don't even think Kyle Rayner is, because Kyle is okay, but Kyle's not that much different from Hal. And if you're going to get somebody close to that, just give me Hal. You can recast it. You don't need Ryan Reynolds. And as long as you have Hal Jordan in there, because he is the main Green Lantern. I don't care about Alan Scott. He doesn't count. So you need to have Hal Jordan as far as I'm concerned. Sam, what do you think?
I think... He said Sam, Nikki. Shut the fuck up.
Man, fuck you.
I think whoever they choose is going to determine the dynamic between Green Lantern and Flash. If they go with Jon Stewart, I imagine they're going to have Wally as the Flash. Because Hal would definitely be comic relief. He's a dick. He's a jokester. And it wouldn't make sense to have both Hal Jordan and Wally West in the same film. And I don't want to say they're the same character, but they're too similar. If you have Jon Stewart, who's a lot more serious, then you can't have Barry Allen, who's a little more responsible as the Flash. You gotta either have Barry with Hal or Wally with John. I feel like is the only way that kind of balances out. Who do I want to see? Flash, I really don't care. From the animated TV series, Wally was funny in that. I liked him, but if I had to, you could flip a coin if it's Wally or Barry. But when it comes to Green Lantern, like you guys said, Hal Jordan is my Green Lantern. If you have a Jon Stewart, fine. Just don't make him the deadpan. Don't make him so overly serious, because Superman is going to have to be serious. Batman, there is no incarnation of him outside of Adam West where he is anything but to himself and dark. So if you have too many serious people and then Wally West,
And Wonder Woman.
He's going to be a pain in the ass. If you have, and Wonder Woman has real no sense of comedy. She doesn't know anything about our world.
Yeah, she can't stand up for shit.
So, I mean, I really think the best way for them to do it is have Barry Allen, who can crack a joke. He's not serious, but he's responsible. And then have Hal Jordan be the one who's just the gigantic douchebag who just, if Batman says we need to do this, he's going to be like, no, we're going to do this because I'm Green Lantern, and that's what I say.
What do you think, Nikki?
I'm actually going to be the stick in the mud here. I hate Hal Jordan, and I hate Wally. If you're looking for options for the Green Lantern and the Flash, I think Hal Jordan is a complete and utter douchebag. I can't stand him. I can't stand his attitude. I can't stand any little quirky remarks he has along with people. When it comes to the two, I prefer Wally being the Flash over Barry. And my number one favorite Green Lantern is Jon Stewart. So if I were to see the combination with anything involving the Justice League, I would much, much rather have Jon Stewart being the more serious one. Now, do I want him overly serious like Superman or like Batman would and expect to be? No. I feel like it would be just a bunch of people like meaning business, and then you have that one person who's always like overly annoying, overly obnoxious, and it wouldn't really blend. But I would prefer to see Jon Stewart as Green Lantern and have Wally be the annoying little shit stain of Justice League. So, yeah, it seems like I'm the only person that thinks that, but I can't stand Hal Jordan. Can't stand Hal Jordan whatsoever. He annoys me.
This is what is scaring me about the idea that we've heard of The Rock playing Jon Stewart in it. The Rock is comedic, and I don't want Jon Stewart to be in the movie and not be Jon Stewart and just be Hal Jordan but black. I think that they have a huge risk of doing that. And somebody like The Rock, I mean, if that were the character, then that would be fine. But the idea of having a Jon Stewart in there, making him a military guy who jokes around too, why not just have him stay in fucking G.I. Joe? Like, that's not what they need for this. I think that they need to go with a comedic Flash one and maybe incorporate certain aspects of the character in there. Maybe Hal isn't really the comic relief as much. Maybe he's like 50% of the comic relief and the other 50% is Barry Allen, who has some of the traits of Wally West. There's going to be some kind of a happy medium, I hope. But I don't know. I mean, I'm really worried about what they could do that, because that could be something that could be a huge issue, and I think that they need to balance it out. I'm kind of killing one of my main points here that I would have mentioned with the comparisons to the Avengers thing, but the way that I look at the dynamic of the group, if you were to compare it to the Avengers film, Superman is a combination of Hulk and Captain America. He is the overall powerhouse, but he has the mentality of Captain America. He's the Boy Scout. Batman is a combination of Iron Man and Captain America, where he's got that role in the group of the non-powered one, and he's a dick. He's like the Iron Man situation where he's the tech guy and he kind of plays by his own rules, that kind of a thing. Wonder Woman is 100% Thor. That's it. She's the outsider. She speaks differently. She's the secondary powerhouse of the team. Green Lantern is a combination of Hawkeye and Iron Man. He's the guy that's the high flyer, and he's the ranged fighter, sort of. But he's Hawkeye in the sense that he's comedic, but he's the serious comedic one. And I always kind of viewed Hal as that. He's much more serious than the Flash is, but he's still kind of a jokester. Black Widow and Iron Man would be a combination of the Flash, where he's the comedic one. And he wouldn't be as jokey as the Iron Man role is. He'd be more a little bit like what Black Widow was, but he's a little bit of the heart of the team. He fulfills that kind of a role here. Dace, did you mention who you would rather have for the Flash?
I'd rather go with Barry. The reason I would go with Barry as Flash, I feel like Warner Brothers, seeing as they pretty much own all of DC when it comes to movies and shit like that, should expand on their opportunity to make a universe. And why not grab Barry from the TV show if you're shooting off a TV show?
That's something that I wanted to bring up too. I don't want that to happen at all.
They're never across the TV in the films.
Why would you want to the Grant Gustin or Gustin or whatever, the Grant Gadot of the TV show to be Barry Allen? Why do you want those to cross over?
I just feel like there's so much opportunity there with the universe that Flash probably won't get his own movie. Whereas you can build that in the TV show. Same with Arrow. Build Green Arrow to show up for the Justice League movie, but build those two in the TV show universe, and then they come up as minor support characters in the Justice League movie, because DC and Warner are no way organized as much as Marvel is, and to put this together, it's just not going to happen. I'm already turned off from the Batman Superman movie just from announcements that I've heard, and they cast Jon Stewart, it's the final nail in the coffin. I won't go see it.
Really? You're not going to go to the movies with us?
Well, I didn't go see The Dark Knight Rises.
Oh, that's true.
So DC, they lose me a lot of times when it comes to the comics.
One other thing about specifically of Flash and Green Lantern, do you guys think that they're going to be kind of outsiders and neglected if they're not in Superman versus Batman? If we see Superman and Batman for the entirety of a film, and we see Wonder Woman in some capacity, and then the next film is the Justice League, is it going to feel weird that they don't have Flash and Green Lantern if they don't reference them in some way? Or are they just kind of like the way that they, not even the way that they incorporated Hawkeye and Black Widow, where they did pop up ahead of time? It wouldn't even be that much. It would be also not only confusing, but it would be kind of, I don't know, disrespectful, I guess I could say, for Flash and Green Lantern, because they clearly in the Justice League movie would not be the primary people. They got to be the supplemental ones. And if they don't get any kind of a reference in Superman versus Batman, and then they just get thrust upon as supporting characters in Justice League, is that not doing them justice? What do you think, Sam?
Yeah, I think Hal Jordan. Well, okay, that's if they do it. If they do Jon Stewart, then obviously this doesn't work. But because Hal Jordan is in the Air Force, I think if they went this military route with Man of Steel, and I feel like they should maintain that to ground this in reality, where the military is not going to keep their eye off of Superman. So if they want somebody to kind of keep an eye on him, or if they assign a team maybe to spy on him, have that be just Hal Jordan. It doesn't even have to be important. You could just like have the military introduce Superman to different people, and Hal Jordan can make like a wisecrack at him or something like that. And then in Justice League, hey, it turns out Hal Jordan was the Green Lantern. I don't really see how you could have the Flash. I mean, Barry is CSI, right?
Right.
So, I mean, you could kind of tie him into Batman. I could see that. But you're right. It's weird. I don't see how you could put them in this movie without it feeling either crowded, or it's like, oh, well, they kind of just mentioned him, and why didn't they actually have him do more in the film? Like, why would Superman, Batman, and possibly Wonder Woman be fighting this thing, and yet you introduced Green Lantern and he's not doing anything? But at the same time, like you said, if you introduce Flash and Green Lantern in Justice League, then is it going to feel like the Justice League is Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, and then Green Lantern and Flash. I don't really want that because they are very important characters, and they should be keystoned to the Justice League. So, I mean, it's tough. I really don't have an opinion. Okay, I have an opinion, but I don't really have an example of how you could do it because it's very touchy.
What do you think, Nikki?
I don't have anything that Sam didn't already say. I don't know. Like I said, like he said, it being too cluttered with too many different things going on with like all of these main characters, it's going to be kind of overwhelming to take in. You can't have like three or more different characters going after two or three different things all in the span of a couple of hours. It's going to be too much to wrap your head around, and it's going to be too overwhelming, and you're not going to get the full detail of everything. If you go to put all of these things in at once, it's kind of like what did you remember? Kind of like Spider-Man. Like there wasn't too many things in it, but there were too many things going on in the Amazing Spider-Man. Like 30 minutes into the movie, Uncle Ben was already dead. Oh, okay, all right, sure, whatever. It's going to be that kind of aspect. Maybe not the same way, like time-wise, but in under 30 minutes, if you've already got like two bad guys and three protagonists going on and they're getting ready to fight, that's like what's going to happen for the other hour and a half. Like, what are they going to be doing then? And if you try to bring in too much stuff in that as well, then it's not going to be enjoyable because you don't know what exactly is going on with the backstory, but they're fighting for some fucking reason. So if they just pace it and don't try to add as many things as possible to get bigger names and whatnot in the movie, bigger characters to get people to drawn into it to go see it, then it'll work. So yeah.
I've got one thing that I think might solve one of the issues, but it all depends, and it kind of depends on what they're planning on doing with Superman versus Batman as opposed to what they're going to do with Justice League. I think if you have just the Wonder Woman reference, like we were talking about, like the Black Widow style thing, where she really doesn't play too much of a big part, it might kind of balance out a little bit better, where people won't notice Flash and Green Lantern weren't given any spotlight at all, because then they'll be looking for, well, we're finally going to get a chance to see Wonder Woman too, and it'll be like, well, all we got to see was Superman and Batman. So 3 characters that haven't been given a lot, balancing it out against the 2 main ones, that might work better than if it was the 3 prominent Trinity kind of members and then the 2 sideliners. Maybe it's my perspective, but I don't think that I'm necessarily wrong in thinking it. I think that a lot of people view the Justice League in that kind of a regard, where it's Superman and Batman. Oh, and Wonder Woman's there too, and a bunch of other people. And maybe they could structure the movies around that kind of a mentality where Superman and Batman are clearly above and beyond the 2 main characters, and you don't have to question it because they're Superman and Batman. I mean, come on. And then Wonder Woman's got that B-level spot, and Flash and Green Lantern do have the C-level spot. They need to play it safe, though. And I think one way that you can incorporate Green Lantern into it is kind of like what Sam was saying, where he's a member of the military, but another route that you can do is if they go with Darkseid as the main villain of the Justice League movie, and they have like the parademons and an invasion kind of style thing, sort of like Justice League War, instead of having Green Lantern as somebody from Earth's military factoring in there, why not make him somebody who came back to Earth because of a distress signal after he was looking at something extraplanetary from a Darkseid invasion? So he can be the character that explains the plot to us and go, I haven't really dealt with these guys, but I've been on lots of planets and I've heard some tough shit about these people from Apocalypse. Flash, though, no idea whatsoever at all what they could do to incorporate him in here. Dace, what do you think about Flash and Green Lantern? Are they going to be really just out of place if they don't introduce them in these movies, or what?
I think ultimately they're going to get screwed. DC needs to take the approach of just slow down, build these characters, give them their own franchises, and then do your Justice League movie. I think they saw that cash cow of the Avengers and said, "Hey, we we can do that." Whereas they're going to rush it, get something shitty, and then they can't do anything. They can't salvage it afterwards. I think Green Lantern and Flash are both going to get the hey, this is the Green Lantern and the Flash. They're part of your team. Like treat, and they shouldn't. They should have their own franchise. They're strong enough characters with enough history that they could, and they just need to slow down.
Now, as far as other characters, I mean, we're talking about they might not have enough room for Flash and Green Lantern. There's been rumors that Cyborg is going to be in this, that Martian Manhunter is in it, and Aquaman. And they've even thrown out some references here and there that they might include Shazam, Green Arrow, Hawkman. Oh, God, they're just everything. I don't have a clue how they could do it. And I'll tell you 3 characters out of that list that I think, if they're going to include any, that maybe they would, but I don't want to see it happen, are Aquaman, Cyborg, and Martian Manhunter. If they include any of them, it has to only be Martian Manhunter. And he has to fill that role that I mentioned earlier about coming to Earth and kind of explaining the plot and stuff. Sort of like what the Justice League animated TV show did. Aquaman, though, there's no role for Aquaman in this movie at all. He needs to be in the sequel, if anything. And Cyborg, fuck Cyborg, as far as I'm concerned. The only reason they like Cyborg nowadays is because they needed another black person for it. And it sucks because it's a shame that they can't just have better characters that fulfill that diversified role and can pull that off really well. Cyborg is not a Justice League member. I don't care how many times they try to cram it down into our throats, how many animated movies that they incorporate him in there and shoehorn him in there and all that. I don't care if they don't have somebody of a particular ethnicity or something like that in a movie. I want the characters themselves to have a purpose. And if that's the only purpose that they would include that character in there for, there's no need. Justice League War, I think, didn't need Cyborg. They included plot elements to justify Cyborg, not the other way around. And they didn't need Shazam either. They could have kept it so much simpler and given some time to Barry Allen, because he got screwed over in that movie. And they could have given more time to Superman, who got screwed over quite a bit. They could have given a little bit more time to Wonder Woman. But I don't know what they are thinking about, if they're going to have just the 5 core characters or if they're going to go outward. But if they go outward, who would you like to see put in the movie? I'll start with Nikki on this one.
Again, sticking to mud, I really like Cyborg.
You and I are going to hate this movie or love it. It's going to be like total opposites.
As a character and as just like a person in general that they've added, I really like the fact that they're adding Cyborg in. He was always one of my favorites, watching Teen Titans and in the comic book. I really enjoyed him as a character. And if they were to add anyone, I do agree with you over the fact that I'm not a big fan of Shazam either. I think it's just basically another Hal Jordan or another Wally stuck inside a different person, basically. We don't need that much over animosity, over like being obnoxious and whatnot. That's just too much. And Cyborg is just kind of like a happy medium. When he first becomes Cyborg, he's very serious, very ominous, very like, what am I doing? Why did this happen to me? And eventually he kind of loosens up. But if I were to pick somebody, besides the typical characters in Justice League to be in this movie, I would want Cyborg to be in it. I really like Cyborg.
Sam?
If you're gonna go beyond Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, and Green Lantern, I feel like you have to include 2 more characters. I feel like you can only either have 5 or 7. 6 would just seem odd to me. I don't know why. I just, for some reason, feel 5 or 7 would be better.
That Sinister Six movie's gonna piss you off. You're gonna be like, why wasn't it Sinister Seven? Sinister
Yeah.
Five, the Fearsome Five. There you go.
Yeah. But to include 2 more characters, I agree that Aquaman gets a really bad rap because of the way he's been portrayed in the past. But the way he's been portrayed lately, like Injustice,
That was awesome.
oh yeah, that was amazing. That was a great take on Aquaman. But I feel like that would only be feasible in a sequel, like you said. Have Atlantis, like the Atlanteans declaring war on the surface world. That would be a great Justice League sequel. As far as the 2, Martian Manhunter would be my first. And have him be the one who knows who Darkseid is, knows that Darkseid is essentially unbeatable, but warns everybody what's going to happen. He sees that there's a Kryptonian. Maybe he knows who the Kryptonians are, maybe he doesn't, considering Krypton is so much further away than Earth or Mars is. If you're going to include a second, it's tough.
Mr.
Cyborg would work.
I actually like
Cyborg,
Mr. Terrific.
yeah. Cyborg would work. I feel like the problem is, like you said, you can't just pick a character and then make the story fit around them. You have to tell a story that warrants the character being there. And I don't see anything based on what they're doing that warrants Cyborg. So I would probably have to go with Martian Manhunter and Shazam. Only because I don't want to see Hawkman, or Hawkgirl for that matter. I don't want to see basically one of these other like no-name characters. Well, not no-name characters, but like basically, if you're going to introduce your universe to compete with Marvel, when Marvel's got some huge names now, you can't gamble on a character that not many people know. I feel like more people know who Captain Marvel is. More people know who Martian Manhunter is. But nobody's really going to know if you wanted to have what was the one was it Dace who brought it up? Who is the character? Shit, I don't even remember now.
When I mentioned Vixen or
that was it, Black Canary you mentioned.
Mhm.
Like, don't include Black Canary. Not too many people know who she is. Green Arrow, the only difference between Green Arrow and Batman. Shut up, Nikki. The only difference between Green Arrow and Batman are the costumes and the personality. Like, they both don't have powers. They have similar backgrounds with being the billionaires who pose as playboys by day. I feel like putting them in, they're just too similar. Then have Green Arrow later down the line. I mean, why not? Definitely. But as an origin story, you have to have characters that are both recognizable and distinct enough from each other that in a film, it looks good.
Dace, what are your thoughts? You said you wanted to connect the Flash TV series to that. Does that mean you want Green Arrow to pop up in this too?
I'd be perfectly fine with it. I actually would prefer those two in it more so than what they're already throwing out at the board, because they're established. They've got a fan base. They're building it. They're popular show. Well, I assume Flash will be a popular show. If it bombs, then no, don't include them. But they need to build it. Just take their time and build these characters. I don't want to watch a movie where they just assume that we know. Because once they use that idea of let's have the audience assume that they know this person and then completely take that character and go a different pace, it pisses us off, i.e. the Mandarin in Iron Man 3. So if you sat there and you know what the Mandarin is because you read the comics, going in with expectations, you're expecting the Mandarin and you get their version of it, which in hindsight, I enjoy that version now because it's their play on the version. But going in with expectations of the Mandarin, I was pissed off walking out of that theater. So I don't want to go into a movie without character build, and right now that's the direction they're going. So you can add whoever you want, Warner Brothers, but build the damn character. You can give me a cyborg. Hell, you can give me like Captain Cold joins the freaking Justice League for whatever reason. I'll watch it if you build the character.
The only thing in defense of Cyborg that I can think of so far, if they can figure out a way to do this without overcrowding the plot and including too many elements, if they don't go with Darkseid and they go with the OMAC project and the Brother Eye satellite and the whole idea of like robots and giving superpowers to other people and all this other kind of stuff, I could see Cyborg playing the insider role for that. He's somebody who kind of played the Metallo section, I guess. They could even maybe make it so it bridged off of the Metallo project. That might be a good way to establish that. Lex Luthor creates the Metallo project for the government, and then they go and they blow it out of proportion with OMAC. But then that's the same story twice in a row. That's what I don't like about that. But if they do that, maybe in a sequel or something like that, maybe the OMACs are created to help fight off the Aquaman invasion kind of a thing, then maybe you can give me Cyborg. But I think the difference between Nikki's point of view and mine with Cyborg is I don't like Teen Titans. And the idea of somebody who is supposed to be like a primary Teen Titan person just being bumped up to a Justice League is kind of like if when they made that Justice League cartoon, Justice League Unlimited and that franchise, originally they weren't going to have that cast. They were going to have who was it? It was Robin, I think, was going to be a part of it, and a female Cyborg and Kid Flash. If I remember correctly, I might be remembering that wrong, but they were going to include those characters because they were like, oh, we want some kids on the team. And it's like, to me, no, you don't do that. I don't want kids on the team. I want adults. I want the Justice League to be the Justice League. And then they can create the Teen Titans and they can create, Young Justice was an awesome show, I think. It had a lot of parts that were bad about it, but that was poor planning on their part and everything. But in theory, Young Justice was pretty awesome. I loved the idea that you had the teenagers working together and they were the B squad underneath the Justice League. But that's what the difference is for me. The Justice League was made out of those adults, and they were like, we're not going to throw a kid in here. Like, the Flash might act like a kid, but he's still a 20-something or 30-year-old guy. And Cyborg, I don't know, teenager who's like a football guy or something like that, just being on the same group of people that are supposed to inspire the country and everything. I don't like it. It's just something I'm not a big fan of in the end. Same thing with Shazam too. Too childish of a character, literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
And Aquaman, I had mentioned that before. Green Arrow, I didn't really touch upon that, but Green Arrow, I don't think you can tie him into the movie and the TV show together. And the same kind of thing that Sam said, too similar to Batman. Maybe in a third film, maybe you do an offshoot movie where they don't really connect over, kind of like what Guardians of the Galaxy seems like it's going to be. But, I mean, I like these characters in a lot of different ways. I think Shazam can be kind of cool, and I think that Cyborg on Teen Titans is awesome, but I don't want to see him in a Justice League movie. Especially not if they do have that kind of, like, one-track mind kind of thing, like the studio thing, where they're like, well, we need a black character in here, we need an Asian character, we need a Middle Eastern character, we need to represent everybody here to be publicly correct and all that other kind of stuff. If that's your only focus, you're not worrying about story, and that's the main thing. You got to worry about story. If you can compare it to something like an Avengers, which we're going to be doing in the next part, I don't know if he would have had the same part necessarily, but to me, Cyborg doesn't seem like he would have much of a role. So without somebody arguing what they're doing for a storyline first. If one of the studio executives was like, here's our plan, I'm hesitant to believe it. It could be done. I could be wrong, but I'm worried about it. Last part we're going to talk about here in the next section is going to be those comparisons to the Avengers films and what we think might be coming up in the future for sequel films, solo movies, the Justice League itself, and all that other kind of stuff.